How many downloads of Jim and Bill It's Another Day podcast?
Today, the podcast show has fetched 400 million downloads since its start, and an average of 350,000 downloads per episode, about 3.9 million downloads per week.
Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. I get, these holiday weeks always, every day of the week throws me off. But what? It's hump day now.
It is. But the thing is, Bill, ever since the election...
A week and a day.
Yeah, it's been like a day off. It's been like a holiday every day since last Tuesday. Because I think a lot of us thought, and we said it on this show, that if it's a fair election, he'll win in a landslide. We said that, but we doubted that it was going to be a fair election. But it was basically fair election. And I give credit to the RNC because they had a lot of poll watchers and lawyers going out and making their presence known and discouraging the wrongdoers from doing stuff. And I give credit to President Trump, who the day of the election, I don't know whether you saw this or not, but he issued a cease and desist. It was on Truth Social, on his letterhead. It said cease and desist, and it essentially was a warning to anybody who was going to try to steal this election that we were going to get you
Cut it out.
And we were going to prosecute you. And it had to discourage a lot of people. Nobody talks about it, but I think it did carry a lot of weight. But, did you hear what they're doing in Bucks County, Pennsylvania right now? They're still counting votes trying to get McCormick to lose that election.
Well, they're bringing in votes is what they're doing.
Yeah, yep. Now, I think and he's been declared the winner by AP, and a lot of other news organizations independently have declared him the winner. And, Schumer didn't want to have him come down to the indoctrination of new senators. Yeah. And I guess he had second thoughts when other senators said, well, he's coming as my guest. And I guess Schumer said, well, okay, yeah, he can come, and Gallego from Arizona can come too. They've declared him the winner over Kerry Lake, but I don't think that one's done yet. I got a feeling there's something they're gonna be doing some serious looking into that election because, like you just said about Bucks County, they were bringing in ballots by the truckload, from what I understand, in Arizona. Not a very honest place down there. Not a very honest. I mean, it's a beautiful state, but boy, they got some corruption, I think, in their system, and they had no consequences for what they did in 2020 and 2022. So why wouldn't they think they could do the same thing in 2024?
Well, they're going after the low-lying fruit everywhere, and in Arizona, you got what's his name, Stephen Richard. Yeah, the rhino that's in charge of everything.
Oh yeah, I don't know his name, but yeah, he's a rhino who doesn't like Kerry Lake.
Stephen Richards. Well, now Kerry Lake's husband has filed a motion to dismiss, a self-proclaimed mega rhino, Stephen, from his job because he was caught. What was it? He was destroying evidence.
Yeah,
of the steal.
This is part of that Arizona corruption. I think that they've made a mistake this time because she's not. You'll notice that I haven't seen Kerry Lake come out and say it was stolen, and she's being a little reserved right now. I haven't heard her say that, but I also haven't heard her concede. I do think there's some kind of system in place that they're going to initiate that will. Actually, it's almost like a trap bill,
Yeah, the Democrats love to do this thing. It's like, before, because if you concede, then any voting is off.
Yeah.
Now they always do. Well, it's obvious that we've won. You go ahead and concede. Yeah, okay, I'll concede. Well, unless it really is obvious that somebody has won, then you may as well concede. Like in
but
case
you'll notice,
of,
Bill, you'll notice in Pennsylvania, Casey, it's really obvious that he lost. I think they said that McCormick had 40,000 more votes than Casey, and all these news organizations have said, try as they may, they tried to make it work for Casey. There is no path to a victory for Casey. He has lost, but yet he has not conceded. Like you said, he has not conceded.
And he's not going to. That's just the way he is. He's, because he feels confident that the Democrats, some way, somehow, they're going to find in all the nooks and crannies made up votes that go his way. When it was obvious we were down to less than 100,000 votes left, real votes to count.
Yeah.
And, with that difference of 40,000 plus people, there was no way that unless he got every stinking vote, which that's not going to happen, but even then it was more dismal than that, could it change? Okay, they've counted all those votes. So where are the votes coming from that they're counting now?
Well, I have my opinion, but I'm not, I think a lot of our listeners have an idea where they're coming from, too.
Well, we found one truck of uncounted votes, and the truck said Casey on the side.
Yes. Just a coincidence. Hey, listen.
Truck did the job.
We should point out that before we go any further, that we have our Daddy's Home sweatshirt and T-shirt and cup available at our rightsideshop.com storefront. And you got to check it out. If you haven't seen it, it's a one-of-a-kind. You're not going to find this T-shirt anywhere else. It is a Jim and Bill original. I mean, our designers went to, they shared no expense. They spared no expense. They shared no expense. They spared no expense.
They share their expenses. They don't share their profits. I can tell you that.
That's the truth. Anyway, they really did a nice job on this. And if you want to be the talk of your neighborhood, you got to have one of these sweatshirts or T-shirts, or at the very least, a cup.
If you get the shirt and wear it, I guarantee that you will be the talk of every Democrat that sees you in it.
It's the perfect thing to wear to that contentious Thanksgiving dinner. That contentious Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, you got a relative coming to your Thanksgiving dinner who voted for Kamala, and they're kind of smarting over the way things worked out last Tuesday. And you want to let them know how you feel about the election? Wear your Daddy's Home sweatshirt or your T-shirt to the Thanksgiving dinner. You'll be wearing the turkey. I mean,
yeah, and if they really get mad, there's a special salute that I don't even think we have to tell you what it is that you can fly to them in honor of their dismay.
Yes, it'll be a memorable Thanksgiving dinner, one you'll never forget. And probably the last you'll have with that relative. I mean, I'm just saying.
It'll be a Thanksgiving to remember.
Hey, listen. You have to check out the store, rightsideshop.com. Also, need we remind you that we also have our Right Side Coffee. There's Bill sipping some right now. Right Side Medium Roast or Right Side Decaf. It's delicious. It's available. We also have. We're the only place that has Juan and the Border Crossers, and they're still here in country because Tom Homan hasn't found them yet. But so for the time being, they're going to sing the jingle, guys.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
That's Juan and the Border Crossers. Mm-hmm. He has a twin brother, Jose. They take turns running the band. Yeah. The Border Crossers, will they be able to do the jingles for us when they're back home? Because I got a feeling, based upon everything I'm hearing from Tom Homan, that he's serious about what he's going to do.
Well, I think he is, and Juan and Jose, they're concerned.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
We filed the paperwork for them, but I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, when you showed that we showed the paperwork to the immigration officer, and when he started to read it, he started to laugh. So I got a funny feeling he wasn't taking it very seriously.
Well, when he goes, paperwork.
We don't need no stinking paperwork.
Get on the bus.
Anyway, I want to play this for you. A lot of people are talking, the left is amazing. The left is amazing. When they are using lawfare to as a weapon to go after their political enemies, it's justifiable and wonderful, and they're all gleefully laughing. Oh, they're so happy. But now they're saying at every turn, they're saying, oh, President Trump is going to use his political position to go after his enemies. He's got an enemies list. Well, folks, if the other side has been using the law to illegally go after, like, President Trump and his family and his friends and his patriot, co-workers like Rudy Giuliani, maybe President Trump has the right as president now to get, some real justice. And I mean, that the difference between what they did to him and what he would be doing to them it's a light years difference. What they did to him was illegal. They literally decided to make up charges, make up things, and to go after him with these made up situations. For example, they raided his house in Mar-a-Lago. They sent down FBI agents to raid the place, and they gave them, seriously, if you'll remember, they said, you have authorization to use lethal force should you have to. That means that when they were down there, if they were given
to kill,
they could have shot anybody down there. Mm-hmm. That's how little they thought. And by the way, Melania Trump, Joe Biden is having lunch today with President Trump, and I'd love to be in that room. Oh, I would love to be in that room. I keep thinking about Joe saying at his rallies, "Why, I'd like to take him out back and beat him up and whatever he. I'd love to see him sit. Trump is a little bigger than Joe and stronger and in much better shape. It would be very interesting to hear what they have to say. But in the process of them having lunch today, talking business, the first ladies were supposed to get together, Jill and Melania. Geez. And, Melania said, I'm not going. Melania said, tell her I have scheduling issues. But the fact of the matter is, Melania has said publicly that ever since the Bidens used that lawfare to invade their personal space, their family space, and threaten their friends and family,
right?
But Jill they're on the list, and you know what list I'm talking about. So she literally declined meeting with Jill today, which I think is the right thing to do. She doesn't need to be shown around the White House. She spent 4 years there,
Yeah, she knows her way around. She knows exactly where everything is. So you know what? Shut up and get out of here.
Steve Bannon was on with Eric Prince. Eric Prince is the owner and founder of Blackwater, which is a security company. Mm-hmm. They go around the world, and they're like paid mercenaries, and they do, but they're above board and they're legal in these different places. They're just for hire, and he's a smart guy. He was sitting down with Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon made an interesting suggestion. I think you should hear this. Listen.
Eric Prince, you addressed the new senators last night over on Capitol Hill. Your thoughts, particularly the Defense Department, where right now they're going through and they have their lawyers saying, oh, we really got to figure out what's a lawful order. Didn't we go through this with Milley? And my strongest recommendation to the president, I think Mike Davis would support this, is to on day one, recall General Milley to active duty, which the president's commander-in-chief has full authority to recall him to active duty and make him face a court-martial. Court-martial him. And let's see what a military tribunal says about Milley's activity as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff from June of, let's pick some random dates, from June of 2020 until the 19th, high noon on the 20th of January of 2021. Eric Prince, your thoughts?
Yeah, he acknowledges that he was in contact with the Chinese counterparts. Is that really within the Constitution for him to be doing that? I don't think so. That's not his role. Look, there needs to be a culling of the senior ranks. You have as many general officers now as we did during World War II when we had 10 times as many troops. So there's a reason we have so much bureaucracy and so much ineptitude. It's because it's a massive blob of a committee. President Trump needs to consolidate and severely reduce the massive Pentagon bloat, both civilian population and especially amongst general officers and colonels. We need a lot more teeth and a lot less tail. You have about 12 tail for every tooth you have in the Pentagon right now. So the whole Pentagon needs to go on a diet, including Mark Milley.
Get that up.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Mark Milley has been a two-faced, seditious guy. He was the guy, if you remember, when President Trump, during those riots in Washington, when President Trump marched across the street to St. John's Church, the Church of the Presidents, as it's been called, because it's been around almost as long as the White House itself, maybe longer. But that was the church that they tried to set fire to, and they put it out. But for a while, it was a questionable situation where they're going to burn down this historic church. Well, Trump walked over, and he was holding a Bible, if you'll remember, and Milley was standing next to him as they walked across the street. And the very first thing that Milley did when he got back to the White House, basically, was to go on social media and apologize for escorting the President of the United States across the street to make a statement in front of St. John's Church, which was a perfectly good, peaceful, smart statement. It wasn't something radical. But this guy Milley is such a backstabber. Okay, I'll leave it at that. A backstabber. He thought he would call favor with the left by, going out and saying, well, I shouldn't have done that. He's the guy, if you remember, he also was talking about how he believed that he was all in favor of a new army, a new military that embraced trans, a more woke and diverse military. Gag me. The military is the whole purpose of the United States military, no matter what branch you're in, is to protect the United States of America, period, end of sentence. And you do that as a military by being the strongest force possible. If an enemy wants to jump the walls and invade your village, you make that wall so hard they can't get to the top. And that's all they have to do. But under this Biden situation, they all of a sudden had pictures of officers, men, in dresses and skirts and long hair. Every one of those guys in those pictures should be gone. Gone. No question.
He wants to drop kick Milley across the football field. Derriere, low, feet high, flying across the field. I can see that. He deserves it.
With his legs in the air, just gone.
Yeah. You're out of here, buddy.
Which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
And apparently he can do that. He can reactivate an officer of that rank just with a snap of a finger. Tell him he's back in active service and to report here tomorrow. And he can't
and
do
if he
anything
doesn't
about it.
report there, then oh boy, either way, he's in a precarious situation.
Yep.
Depending what Trump will do. I mean,
I think that we're going to see some interesting things happen. Look, it has been a week, right? A week and a day. And look at some of the people that he's appointed already to positions of power. I like this. John Radcliffe. I don't know if you've ever seen John Radcliffe. He's been on a lot of TV shows as a guest. He was the Trump director of the DNI, Director of National Intelligence. So he has a lot of experience in that area. But now he's going to be the CIA director under Trump. And this is a big deal. He's a trusted ally of President Trump. He's going to go into that pit of vipers, and he's going to try to make sense of it and to clean it up. This is going to be a hell of a job because know damn well the people on the CIA who are doing their own bidding, let's just say that, are going to make it really difficult for Radcliffe.
Well, yeah, they will, but I don't know. Tulsi wanted that job.
Yeah.
I wonder what she could be.
Well, I think that she probably was under consideration.
Do you think she's going to be appointed to some cabinet members? I mean, she's held true to Trump, so, and she's a good person. I think
she might be an undersecretary of somebody who is like the assistant director of the CIA, it doesn't mean that she has to be the top gun. She may be an upper level person.
Yeah, and she's next in line. You never know, but there's other roles to be handed out.
They haven't picked an attorney general yet.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be interesting.
I'll tell you what I like. I like the pick that they made Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense. If you don't know who Pete Hegseth is, he's been on Fox and Friends weekends for like 7 or 8 years. Good-looking guy, a very personable guy, kind of a funny guy. And you think when you first hear that decision, Pete Hegseth, you think, oh, wait a second. Is that a good move? I mean, a TV anchor? And then I think, wait a second. What? Why wouldn't he be any better than like George Bush when he was made director of the CIA? Let me explain a little bit about Pete Hegseth that a lot of people don't realize. Besides being personable and funny, Pete Hegseth is a graduate of Princeton University, and he has his master's degree from Harvard University. He was a major in the military. He was a combat veteran, and I think he's got 2 Bronze Stars. So this is somebody who is I could be wrong on the Bronze Stars, but I think he did get that. I'll have to check on that. But he has been he has all of the box checked. Do you know? He's somebody who is qualified for the job, and I think he's also, by the way, a Trump loyalist. He has always been somebody who has championed the conservative movement, I think that he's going to sit down with President Trump, if he hasn't already, and say, look, we're on the same page, sir, and I'll make sure this stuff happens. And I'll make sure people around the world know that we are now a new Department of Defense. We are now going to get our chairs in order on this ship here, and things are going to be as they should be, and there'll be no confusion in the ranks about what our goal and our mission is. And I'm sure there was a lot with this Biden situation. I mean, I don't know how these guys, any of these guys who stayed with the military throughout the Biden administration, it had to be confusing and depressing,
You mentioned you mentioned background in the media and whatnot, and it reminds me a lot of things going on in the print and visual spoken news. For instance, print, LA Times.
Yeah.
They have fired their far left editorial board, and they want factual and balanced coverage of Trump's presidency. Wow. Now you want it.
But better late than never, Bill. They're coming to the party, and they're a little late, but they're coming to the party, and I like it. And
if you're a would-be journalist, or a TV person, you might want to get your tapes and resumes off to CNN because they're about to fire the whole crew.
Well, I heard that, and another thing is, how about there's a lot of talk on the street that MSNBC is for sale. It's for sale. Now, I don't know how true that is. I want to play a cut for you, Bill. Megyn Kelly was talking about Joy Reid. Joy Reid is, and it always has been, but it has never been more prevalent than it is right now. She's a racist, okay? She is a racist. It's one thing.
Definitely. We've said that before.
She's unbelievably, undeniably racist, and I've always thought to myself, how can she have a show on MSNBC every day and spew that venom like she did, and still be employed? And they knew what they had. The people, if you want to see, first of all, when I heard that they're going to sell MSNBC, I'm thinking, well, who in their right mind is going to buy it? It is a brand that has been ruined by poor management. But anyway, another thing before I play this cut from Megyn Kelly, I don't know whether you heard this or not, but the ratings have come out since last Tuesday on the network.
Oh, they're in the toilet.
Oh, my dear God. Joy Reid, when you hear her talk on this clip, understand that she lost probably almost 60% of her audience. I mean,
Well-
the people have decided, oh, you liars. Finally, the people on the left are saying, wait, you told me all this stuff and none of it's true?
Well, either they never had big audience, so either the audience they had went away, or the audience they had was a lie, or a combination of both.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't think that they ever had anything to begin with, and the flies that were swarming around, the stink, said, not our crap.
Yeah.
You-
Well, they are now going to be. I think. I don't know. How do you buy MSNBC? You know, it used to be owned by Microsoft and NBC. I don't know that Microsoft has a share in it anymore, or they just kept it because that was the brand name. But what company is going to say, "Oh, I want to buy that"? Because literally, folks, you're going to have to etch-a-sketch everything on that network.
Well, yeah, you're buying a lease. You can buy a lease anywhere, probably a better lease. The equipment's been around for a while. It's used and abused. So,
Yeah.
if you're going to build a network, you may as well just go ahead and get it all new from scratch. The personnel, they suck. That's why they're selling it.
Yeah.
There is no intellectual property there to buy, because the only thing you got are the raw asset value. I could go through there with a notepad and write it down. And if I didn't know the price of something, I'd go, well, okay, that's a nice camera there. Let's Google that. Okay, that's what it is new. And okay, and now I have a value, And then
The other thing I have to, I
there's
never,
no worth.
I never could figure out is how they can turn around and pay people like Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski like $7 million each a year.
Well, there's another thing. That's cash flow that you've got to sit there that they don't have.
Exactly.
So, the multiples aren't there. And does it sound like I might have done this evaluation before? Yes,
I think you
in
have,
Philly.
yeah.
I've done it in Philly, and I hit within another consulting group. I mean, we were within, when I say like $1.68 of each other,
Yeah.
we were within about $1.68. I went through that thing, and
How do they justify paying these fat? And by the way, they're dumb as a box of rocks. I mean, if you just watch them and you're non-political and listen to them spew their nonsense, you realize, oh my God, what the hell is he selling? Scarborough. And by the way, since the election last Tuesday, Scarborough is trying to change the tone of his approach toward Trump a bit. He's not quite as antagonistic.
Too little, too late. And as far as justifying different things, now you mentioned Scarborough, and you mentioned what was it, Rachel Maddow or
Joy Reid
and Joy Reid.
Yeah,
all of these people have big contracts,
huge,
and they got buyouts in them. It's not an asset; it's
right.
a liability right up front that you're going to go, oh, I'm buying this place. I'm not keeping these guys. Who's paying out these clowns? You or me?
That's
if I'm
true.
buying you, that's your person. You get rid of them. I'm not taking them.
That's a good point, Bill. Yeah.
So, and if they don't sell it, they either got to sit there and go, we got to throw some more money down this toilet and flush and hope for the best, or they just sit there and go bankrupt and nobody gets anything. Everybody except you get to write it off. I think that's what I would do if I owned it. And it was in the shape. I would just say, bad business deal.
CNN, what do you think happens to them? I mean, I look at CNN and I think they have taken a brand that was probably the premier brand of news. I'm talking about for like 20 years, 25 years. Whenever there was a major crisis around the world, you went to CNN. It was the place to go because you trusted them. And what did they do over the last 8 or 9 years? They destroyed that trust. Intentionally. They actively destroyed that trust. Nobody trusts them anymore. Now they're talking about, like you said, doing a clean out, a complete, what do they call it, clearance sale on all their staff. Gone.
Well, Wallace probably got cut a break because he got cut early. All right?
Yeah.
So he can go out and try to muster up something. But, I got to think, the guy's in his 70s now?
He's 77. So, I mean.
Okay, he's going to do a podcast, because you can talk until you die, but, I mean, how much more relevance does he need? Or could he just sit back in his chair and go, well, if I'm around in 4 years, I can become a paid, write a book, be a paid pundit to come in and do guest smear pieces and get the hell out of there. You're not losing anything or sleep. And
these guys, Bill, they live and breathe on their ego, though. They really do. Chris Wallace, I think they hired him over at CNN, and they only put him on like about 5 times in 3 years. It was like, okay, now we have him. What do we do with him? And they never really figured out what to do with Chris Wallace. I'm sure he got a nice chunk of change to make the move, so he's happy. I think he got like $40 million. I mean, it's embarrassing, folks, the money that these companies spend on some of these no talents. And I mean that sincerely. Just because some of these guys can ask a question and maybe they can be a little nasty about it, they're not afraid of being contentious with a guest. I mean, just because they can do that, do you really think they're worth $40 million? Come on. I mean, I can see a guy who's a heart surgeon who opens your chest up, takes out your heart, massages it, stitches it up, and puts it back in you, and makes you work again. Gives you a better life. Maybe he's worth $40 million because he really does something that's worth something in this world. But a clown that sits in front of a TV camera, who is to a lot of people annoying, no.
Now quit talking about clowns in the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre. I do have a cut from her, but I wanted to play the Megyn Kelly cut with Joy.
Yeah, let's go with Megyn Kelly. She's much prettier and nicer.
She is. Oh, you're so sexist. Anyway.
I know I am.
Yes. Here's Megyn.
Proud of it.
If the shoe fits, wear it. Here's
That's right.
Megyn Kelly with about Joy Reid, and she has some guests, and they have some opinions about where Joy Reid should be.
We've got to spend another minute on Joy Reid. It's a TikTok situation until her ass is fired. There's no way MSNBC, which is in a full meltdown now about how bad their losses were, there's no way they can keep this woman. I realize they're in the same problem that the Democrat Party is. Like, they have a base that they need to keep. But she and her little friend, Ellie Mistal, are truly the most racist people on television. And here's her latest messaging, as some groups, indeed, are reportedly planning some march, like the Women's March. Now they're trying to get a march ready. That'll do it. They're going to bust out their pea hats again. Okay, all right. It worked out so well the last time. And listen to Joy Reid's reaction.
Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing. I would just say probably don't send any of those invites to any black women you know. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not coming. I'm pretty sure black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition. I think that's probably not happening. I would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends because I don't think they're coming. But yeah, I think black women are now on the Save Black Women, Prioritize Black Men, and prioritize black communities, black businesses, and the black spaces. But Save America, Save the Democratic Party. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Okay. First of all, where is your hair? What happened to your hair, Joy Reid? It's gone. It's gone from it looked like Trump's hair, and now it's gone altogether. Anywho, this is what happens when you get bitter and bitter and bitter. And we've seen all these women shaving off their hair online. Have you seen this? This is part of the resistance effort to telegraph that you hate Trump. These, somewhat okay-looking women are shaving off their hair. So I don't know if that is what she did there, but we already knew that you were a far lefty. You didn't have to shave your head. Second of all, the nerve. This is what happens, right? Emily, she looks at the white progressive women As it, like, what more self-flagellation could white progressive women have done to earn the little pat on the head from the Joy Reids of the world? Ladies, pay attention. It doesn't get you anywhere. If the conservative women or the more moderate white women let you down, you will be lumped in. Your whiteness comes first before your progressivism does in this battlefield. You will be diminished. You will be rejected by the Joy Reids of the world until what? Until Joy Reid gets her way at the ballot box, Emily.
Well, and Joy Reid is really speaking on behalf of elite progressive Black women. She's not speaking on behalf of Black women as a whole, because what we've seen over and over again in polling is that the sort of Democratic Party and its activists are far further to the left of actual Black voters, Hispanic voters, than they are themselves. So on issues like policing, on issues like economics, like they tend to be cultural issues for sure. The people like Joy Reid, who are in elite media spaces, are further to the left. And so her sort of going and giving this free advice as though anybody should care about her free advice after what just happened and her performance as a journalist over the course of the cycle is hilarious. But I am curious what MSNBC does about like overt racism coming from Joy Reid and Nellie Nostal, which happens all of the time on their shows. Do they now recognize it as toxic racism? Now that it's sort of been clear, it's been rejected by voters, it kind of gives them license to say, all right, this is not working. This is too far. This is radical. This is extremism. We're platforming it. You know, those executives in the C-suites who are thinking through these questions, do they now say we have to stop platforming this extreme racism and acting like it's constructive and healthy? I'm actually pretty curious about that.
Me too.
That's Emily Jasinski and Megyn Kelly talking about Joy Reid. You know, Joy Reid lost half her audience in a week. Half her audience gone. It's like, okay, we don't believe you anymore. Goodbye. I mean, that's amazing. And by the way, folks, don't kid yourself. Even these cable networks that have been ignoring revenue, you know, for a while for the sake of narrative.
Right.
When all is said and done, there's somebody at an office somewhere way up the chain who, after this election, probably has said, wait a second, what's happening with MSNBC? They haven't been really paying attention because they've been following the other networks they run. But all of a sudden, they look down the chain and wait, MSNBC lost half of its audience? Don't think for 1 second that they won't be, changing a lot of people over there. They'll be pulling an LA Times on a lot of these cable networks if they are.
There's going to be a lot of heads rolling. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed coming, and that's sad. But then again, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. They cut their own throats.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to feel sorry for them when they do what they did. You were talking about KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre.
Lovely lady. Send in the clowns, please.
Oh, I would think that she's spending a lot of her time polishing her resume right now because she's histoire in a matter of a few short weeks. But she's out there. She's still going up in front of the media and spewing her nonsense. And with all due respect, it is nonsense. Peter Doocy. He always lights a fuse in those press conferences.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He said to Karine, how was it at that lunch that Vice President Harris had with President Biden? Was it uncomfortable? I'll let Doocy explain it.
And we know that today, a week after the election, President Biden and Vice President Harris had a private lunch. How awkward was that?
I don't even understand. Why would it be awkward?
Because the president got squeezed out for her, and then she kept him at arm's length, and then she lost, and now she's back.
Why would you characterize it as awkward? They have regular lunches. They meet and talk regularly. Why would you call it awkward?
So there's no weirdness about the way that things have unfolded.
Did you see them? Did you see them together yesterday as well when they honored our veterans and were together during the day, making sure that we didn't forget the brave men and women that fought for this country? Did you see them together yesterday? Did you see the show of force together? This is I'm not even going to take the premise of the question. What I will say is the president and the vice president had lunch today. They've had lunch many times. They have they communicate with each other regularly. They had an opportunity to discuss the last 70 days or so of this administration, how important it is to get things done for the American people. And that's their focus. That is genuinely their focus.
Have you ever heard the expression, the Peter Principle? The Peter Principle, if I have this right, is to rise to the level of your own incompetence. That is Karine Jean-Pierre. She's swimming way above her grade. I mean, she's lost, and yet Biden he lets her stay in that room every day and fend off questions and give nonsensical answers. She says, "Did you see them yesterday walking in Arlington Cemetery?" The answer is yes. We did see them
we
walking.
saw it. Gosh.
They looked like they were smelling something bad, both of them, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have a word to say to each other, you know.
Well, they had that lunch yesterday, and I'm sure it really was awkward. And I know if knowing how Joe talks, I know exactly what he said, and I can't say it on this microphone.
What he probably said was,
"You dumb so-and-so, you lost."
No, he probably said, pass the salt. That's it. I mean, they probably said nothing other than coffee. They had nothing to talk about.
Look, Karine Jean-Pierre, who's going to hire her?
I have no idea. idea. You know, people say, well, you can't. She's a lesbian.
Now, what was the name of the last
gay, and
spokesperson?
she's a minority, and you can't pick on her. No, none of that stuff means a hill of beans. I don't care about her sexual proclivity. I don't care about her color of her skin. That's long since been resolved in our society, I think.
That trend has left the building, yeah.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is she is a numbskull, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if she were an Irish white guy and spoke as stupidly as she speaks, I'd call him a numbskull too, all right? So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, what was the last person that left there? Jen
Psaki. So where did she go?
Well, she went to CNN, didn't
No, MSNBC.
Yeah, she's
over at that place that's going to be sold. Yes,
I guess she got to write a book now. And you know the funny thing about those Democrat books, you see them all over the bookstores, and nobody buys them.
I see them in the front of the store on that table that says 99 cents.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I mean, look, and that's been going on a lot. We got a book deal for you, and great. It's amazing. You sold 1 million copies right off the bat, and those 1 million copies are in a truck going to the dump because it was a payoff just to make you look good. It was a deal.
Yeah,
and not one consumer bought it. Not one consumer.
You know what's
bought
interesting, Bill? A lot of the networks now, including Fox, they have their own publishing company. Mm-hmm. So they get their anchors and stuff to, quote, write books. Many times they don't write them. They co-write them with somebody who really can put a sentence together. Mm-hmm. And so the real ghostwriter writes the book, and the celebrity puts his impromptu, what do they call it, his seal of approval with his name on the book. Like Bill O'Reilly. I don't think Bill O'Reilly sits down and writes chapter 1 of his books. But, the killing of Lincoln, all these killing books, I think it's his co-writer is Martin something or other. I can't think of his name, but I think Martin's the guy who spends a lot of his time sweating over a word processor somewhere.
Doing the research, months of research to sit there and write this book, but his name will not sell the book. You'll be going, who's this Martin clown? So you leave it alone, you walk on by. But when you see, it's
Bill O'Reilly wrote this.
Bill O'Reilly, that's got to be a good book. And it's only in name only.
And but it's funny, you hear these guys talk, and they wear it like they're the author. They talk about it like this is my 13th bestseller or my 19th bestseller on the New York Times. I'm thinking, oh, come on. How many times did you put your rear end in a chair and type on the keyboard to make that book happen? I mean,
all you've got to do is tell them what you want to talk about, and they will write it for you. And then, can you give me bullet sheets on this so when I go on the air and talk about it, I know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that for you, you idiot.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Maybe in some cases, the guys who want to pretend like they're participating, they'll write like a synopsis or a breakdown of something, an outline. Then they'll hand it to the guy who has to do the real research. And then the guy who has to do the real research has to go out and spend 3 months or 4 months putting it all together, but that's how it's done. But people don't realize that, I wanted to play these cuts. I played them before, but it's worth playing them again. We have a terrific new border czar. Now, they didn't make him the director of Homeland Security. They put, was it Elise Stefanik? Who did they make director of Homeland Security? Was it Elise Stefanik or somebody else? But anyway, the director of Homeland Security is somebody other than the border czar, because what they wanted the border czar under the Trump administration to do is to concentrate solely and fully on deportation of illegals in this country, not to be worried about terrorist acts on the country in other areas, not to be worried on other things that Homeland Security would follow, just concentrate your efforts on removing the illegals from our country. So they picked the right guy. Tom Homan is he's a pit bull. He was on talking about the Democratic governors like Pritzker and up in Massachusetts, Maura Healey, and I think even Gavin Newsom out in California. They've all said, well, they better not come to our state, or we're not gonna let them in. We're just gonna not participate. They won't get anything done here. So go into other states, but don't come here. Listen to what Homan says.
Trump, he was suing the sanctuary cities, DOJ suing the sanctuary cities, pulling federal funds. Of course, day one, when Joe Biden came in office, he stopped that lawsuit. So that has to be put back in place. And look, I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, but we're going to do it. So if we can't get assistance from New York City, and we may have to double the number of agents we send in New York City, because we're going to do the job. We're going to do the job without you or with you. But it's much easier to arrest a bad guy. Like I just said, we're concentrating on public safety threats of human and national security threats. It's much easier to arrest a bad guy in the jail. Give us access to Rikers Island that we've been kicked out of. Let us get the bad guy in jail. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. It's safer for the community.
And the thing about this is this guy wants to do it from day one. He's not messing around.
That's a good thing, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think that he's a breath of fresh air. We had a border czar before, and she did nothing. She went to the border, once or maybe twice in her whole tenure in that position? She couldn't tell you where the border was,
Well, I guarantee at night when she dreams now since the election, she probably dreams, man, I wish I had taken that job seriously.
Yeah, well,
in her dreams, she probably does,
Well, it was coulda, woulda, shoulda. All these different regrets.
C'est la vie. You did what you did, and you screwed it up.
Homan also was on 60 Minutes, and the 60 Minutes reporter who was interviewing. It's amazing. There was a time when these reporters and anchors used to hide their feelings toward, which side they were on. They presented themselves as being totally neutral. But that train is, like you said, that train has left the station. That's done. Yeah. Tom Homan was on, and she talked to him about separating families. Listen.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Her face dropped. The thing is, it was okay to spend $1 billion to have these people come into the country and to ship them all over the place and to put them up in hotels and give them all the food they needed and wash their laundry and let them stay rent-free in our country. That was okay. $1 billion.
Or the billions.
Yeah.
Or the billions of dollars to the Ukraine for a war that shouldn't be.
Absolutely. By the way, they're saying with Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense and with the Secretary of State that they just picked, was it Ratcliffe? No, he's CIA. I get them confused. Anyway, expect a conclusion to that war ASAP. Trump wasn't kidding, and that war cannot continue if the United States says we're pulling out.
Right. It's done. It's over. It's kaput. It's out of here. And that's the way it should be.
And I think that if Zelensky wants to walk out of there and keep his job, he will help to facilitate some kind of peaceful end to this conflict. Has to happen.
Yeah.
I think Homan is going to be a breath of fresh air, though. He's going to actually go in and do his job. I think all the picks that Trump has made. Did you hear about what he's done with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy?
Yeah. Didn't he put them in charge of DOGE, the government efficiency department?
Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE. I like that. That's a new term, folks. DOGE. Get used to it because they're going to go into all these different agencies all over the government, and they're going to clean house and take names, all right? They're going to cut it down, all the waste, forget about it. Forget about it. Do you know that 25% of the people go into the office in Washington now? Since the pandemic, I think the figure is 75% of the government people work from home. That's going to end because Elon has said in the past it's not efficient. It just doesn't work out. Now, mind you, there are some businesses that I know of who've literally changed their entire way of doing business, meaning there's no place to go into, Some of the private corporations and private businesses have said, no, we're more efficient working from home. We save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year by not having to spend money for rent, for office space. We don't need it. We can keep the business working and functioning properly this way. We're staying this way. That's okay. And things like customer support and a lot of these big companies, they work from home now too because they realize they don't have to have the people coming into work. But when you're talking about the U.S. government, when you're talking about all these different important jobs and they're working from home,
Yeah, it takes a discipline to work from home, and not everybody has that. And even if you're the best at it, you don't really get it down. I'm for people having to physically go and do work. There are jobs that you can and will do from home, but and then you talk customer service. I can give you the customer service nightmare from hell scenario that happened to me in the past week, and it just kept going and going and going, and because you don't have people that care anymore.
Well, you're right.
America has made a fundamental change during the Biden years, and it was a quick change. And I was at a mall the other day, and it's got a new owner, and they're going, this guy. And I was walking through, going, this thing is in sad shape. And I could remember it wasn't that many years ago. I'd walk in, and it was bustling.
Yeah.
Especially this time of the year, the feeling of Christmas, and everybody loved to do that. Now, you go to your smartphone, the joy of the holidays. Now, granted, the Christmas shopping thing, now it didn't used to be a long time ago, and it was kind of something of, this century, but still,
well,
it was something that I always looked forward to.
Bill, I think we talked about this before. There's a mall not too far from where I am that was only built in 1985. I'm talking about a massive, beautiful mall that was very successful. And it was a ghost town, and they're tearing it down now.
Mm-hmm.
Century 3 Mall. You're familiar with Century?
Yes, yeah. I am. I've shopped there. I've done a lot of things there, and there are things that could have been done to that mall.
Absolutely.
Or things that you could do to other malls. I'm not going to go and board it out, because I always hate it when you have an idea and then all of a sudden somebody, and they're going, yeah, it just came to me in a dream. It's like, yeah,
you know
I'm
what,
sure
though?
it did.
You know what? The ultimate demise to that mall was greed. And I think a lot of it had to do with the towns. The towns where the mall were located, the towns didn't cut them any slack that I know of. Maybe they did, but I never read about it. They still wanted all their property taxes, and instead of saying, okay, we're going to help you, we're going to partner with you to make your mall more successful and keep it going, they kept demanding certain things from the mall when it had difficult times, and the people couldn't deal with it, and it folded. So, and that's happening all over the country. Big, prosperous, beautiful malls are falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't have to. I mean, a developer like Trump could come in. I have a sense of direction that you could. I'm not a builder, and I'm not pitching for anyone to say, hey, well, what's your idea? But I'm just saying, if I can come up with an idea that could make them turn around and be viable again,
yeah,
sure as hell, somebody else could too. And if not, I'll give you some hints. But
well, in all honesty, some of these buildings that they're tearing down, they probably could convert them into housing, convert them into condominiums of some kind. I mean, some of them are beautiful buildings that are being destroyed for no good reason. The sad thing about that mall that we were talking about, Century 3 Mall, which is outside of Pittsburgh, is that the security was a major problem. They allowed it to be a nesting place for gangs. Young kids would come in after school, and some of them were one notch above criminal, and they would actually kind of take over the mall. And it wasn't a comfortable place for people to go shopping in anymore. And I kept thinking to myself, wait a second, why didn't they just put together a really solid police force in that mall? Not a security company, not a bunch of mall cops, as they would say, but why didn't they put some people, why didn't they make like a police force where it had a structure, and the guys were trained, and they didn't allow a second of this to exist? Any kind of problem would be removed quickly and efficiently, but they didn't do that. Maybe they couldn't afford it, but I guess they couldn't afford not to have done it, because the mall in the end closed and is now being, as we speak, I think it's being destroyed.
Well, yeah, too late for it. It's gone. It's dust in the wind.
Yep. Oprah Winfrey was out. She was going to her car yesterday, or I guess it was the day before. Well, yeah, and you should see the car she drives. She drives an SUV, but I think it's a Rolls Royce SUV. It was huge.
Really?
Honest to God. And she walks down this alleyway, and she's in like her sweats, and she's blindsided, I guess, by a TMZ reporter. And here's how it went.
Hey, Oprah, good morning. How are you, darling? You're looking very good. How do you think the election went?
Not talking about the election. Thank you very much.
Oh, is it true that they paid you $1 million for the endorsement for Kamala?
Not true.
Not true, okay.
I was paid nothing, ever.
What do you think about all the celebrities with their mass exodus? Do you think Prince Harry's going to lose his visa now that Trump's president?
And there she got in the car and she drove off. Understand something, though. She said, not true. I wasn't paid a penny. And she
wasn't, but
right. Harpo was.
Yeah, Harpo was. Yeah. It went to a company that she owns, or a conduit. So she didn't personally get paid. And Democrats are good for that. Words. It's a war of words with them. You really got to sit there with a crowbar and pry out the truth. Because they hide behind words.
She wasn't the only one that got paid. Apparently, Beyonce got paid a lot of money.
They all got $1 million. You can't sit there and give.
Some of them got more. Some of them got more than $1 million. I know Bruce Springsteen got a chunk of change.
Yeah.
You think that these people were doing this out of the kindness of their heart, because of their support of Kamala? It was a massive payday for a lot of them.
Yeah, and many of them don't need that money. So why did they get paid, for doing it? I don't know. Oh, $1 million? Yeah, sure. No problem. I'll be right there. Just have my money. No, I don't want to check. Money.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they can walk down the street, and maybe a lot of these people are just really into money, and no matter how much they have, it's never enough,
Yeah, well, once that spigot's turned on, you're gonna take a money shower.
We're assuming, by the way, that guys like Bruce Springsteen still make millions and millions of dollars, but I don't know. Are people buying his stuff like they used to buy his stuff? I don't think so.
Well, the interesting thing is that he says that he pays his band members a lot of money. And he probably does. He had some good musicians there, to cover up his suck sound, which was obvious when he went out and performed for Kamala a cappella. Well, now I know why you never did an a cappella. I don't think he did an unplugged album that I know of, because he sucked.
Yes.
Not only did his guitar playing suck, and mine sucks too, by the way, just so you know, but he sucks singing, which he always does. He's never really, had what
Do you think this is the end of celebrity endorsements? Is this the election cycle that's going to finally put the end of these people coming out and putting their stamp of approval on a candidate?
Two things. Unfortunately, America has a short memory, and Democrats have a long road of vengeance. So they are conniving and snarling right now, trying to get their machine together and rebuilt so that they can go out and disrupt, undermine, and do whatever they can. And then that short memory will come in handy to them, on the next go-around, where they go, look at the celebrities that are coming out. Now, what can change all that? Maybe. I don't know. Would be the P. Diddy and Epstein list. That could be detrimental for a lot of Hollywood elites.
In the past, presidencies have been judged by the first 1,000 days. People are saying that under the Trump administration, based upon the selections he's made so far, look for the same amount of changes and amount of things happening within the first 100 days. He's really lit a fuse under his administration, and justifiably so. I think he realizes now, wait a second, I only have 4 more years, and realistically, I can only count on 2 of those 4 years because the midterms may come along and upset the apple cart again, so to speak. With right now he has Congress, and he has the Senate, and he has the executive branch, and he should be able to get almost everything he wants through the system. But if they take control again, the opposition, in 2 years, all bets are off.
Have you noticed since the election, and it's on both sides, the begging for money hasn't stopped. Now the Democrats are looking for money because they went into the hole. They blew, a war chest of over $1 billion, and they went in debt. But now they are trying to fight to steal elections in the low-lying areas to get Senate seats and congressional seats, see if they can go back and flip it. Oh, we found some more votes, but it takes money to do that, so they want to do that. We have some people are getting that are elected are getting appointed on the Republican side, and that means that we're going to have to defend that seat, even though it might be a shoo-in to get somebody. There's still going to have to be money spent, so they're in the Republican side, it's a building process. On the Democratic side, it's a fight to steal because they got shellacked so badly that
I hear they had I don't have the cut, but James Carville was so ticked off at the Democratic side. He had little patience for his side. I can't play it because some of the language he used was a bit salty.
No, not James.
Yes.
No.
But he just talked about the incompetence of the people who are running the Democratic Party at the highest levels right now. And he's not wrong.
No, he's actually right on the money there, James. For once we agree on something. Your party sucks.
Yeah. What do you think about Elon Musk and Vivek? I was going to ask you about that. Do you think?
Well, no. I think it's great, and I think Elon is going to go in there with the same attitude that he did with Twitter. He went in there and looked at all the waste and said, it's gone. This is going to be a little bit different, in the fact that he knows what to do. He knows how to do it. And, except for his name, he's really, I'm sure he gets a salary, but he's already got his wealth. He's got no skin in this game. So, all he's got in there is his reputation, and he's going to sit there and go in and say, no, this is not going to happen this way anymore. And you're gone. You're out of here.
Yeah.
He's just going to go in. There's nothing personal. Going to make a change.
Well, you know what they're saying, Bill? People are saying, well, how are they going to move all these people out of their jobs? And what they're saying is there's a simple way to do this. Right now, everything's centered for the most part, in D.C. So what they're saying is, okay, what they're going to do is they're going to move a lot of these different government agencies to different parts of the country. And a lot of the people in D.C. won't be able to move or won't want to move from D.C. to, I don't know, Sioux City, Iowa, or someplace like that. And they will essentially quit the jobs. They'll not make the move with the agency.
Well, isn't it smart to sit there and take the body of the government and place it in different parts so that if they're ever it's harder to corrupt, when it's all over and spread about the country. Right. It is harder to overthrow, because Secretary of Defense might be in Idaho. I don't know, but departments could be everywhere.
I see where RFK Jr. is talking about getting, I think he said 600 people from National Institute of Health gone, out. Next, and I can see that happening because he probably looks around and sees just an amazing amount of waste. One of the things about government agencies, Bill, is they have so much money allocated to them. Let's say, for example, the government budget for your agency is $1 trillion a year, or $500 billion a year. What I've been told is that they feel obliged to spend it all within the fiscal year, so they can get the same amount next year. If you have a leftover amount, you may not get as much. So what they do is they will have the Department of Redundancy, meaning they will hire multiple people essentially to do the same work, do the same job, and this is where they're gonna be slashing.
That's an old budget thing, because I remember that. The department head sitting down going, "You're projecting what you need, and then sometimes what you need, you don't get it in one budget, you get it in something else."
Right.
And I when I first got into management, I sat there, I faced that right away. I sat there, I wanted to make sure that everything was managed to a T, and then at the come around the next fiscal year, I'm sitting there putting my budget together and putting everything pretty much rubber stamped. You can't do this. You didn't use all that money, so my budget went down.
Yeah.
Then I was hurting.
Yeah.
But it's a different situation in this.
I think
we have to do that.
The federal government is going to be. It's not going to be as big a challenge as a lot of people think because there's a lot of obvious waste in our government. Like you can walk into a room filled with a bunch of people, and they're all half of them are doing the same job. And by the way, we're also a world of technology, and who is more gifted in that world than Elon Musk? He's going to walk into a lot of these agencies and say, "Wait a second, hold it, stop. You have 150 people here doing this job. When I can put a central mainframe in right here, take up half this space, and it will do 10 times the job, and we only need a couple of guys to watch it to make sure it's okay." That's the kind of thing that I see happening with our government. He's going to, and you may say, well, what about those poor people losing their job? Well, I'm sure there'll be exit plans and exit packages, but a lot of those people will have to go out and get a real job.
There's an old saying, I'm sure you've heard it too, when you were in radio. If you ever got let go from a job, well, you were looking for a job when you found that one.
That's true.
So you're looking for a job again.
Yep. I think that it's okay to feel bad for people who are losing a job. Nobody likes to see that. But
it's tough.
And they're probably, knowing the way the government is, they will probably set up some kind of a bridge kind of system where retraining and things like that, and gap payments to people so that they have some kind of income until they're retrained. Or if they have a skill in the government, they will refine that skill into it's something that can be used in the private sector, So
right.
I think that there will be a system in place to make it fair. I'm looking at the clock on the wall. I should mention before we go any further that we have our Daddy's Home sweatshirts, T-shirts, and baseball cap. This is the first week, by the way, that they're available. They've only been available, but 2 days, actually? They're brand new to the
they're
store.
new. They came out over the weekend, and the shirt is very cool. There's a red T-shirt, red sweatshirt, and there's other paraffin, and the cup. That's cool too.
Cup is very cool. Cup is neat because the red is on the inside of the cup, which makes it kind of different, I think.
It is different.
Yeah, so we have a very talented graphic artist who sweats over an artist board, an easel, all night long to put his stuff. You really should buy it just to make sure he gets paid.
Yeah, I think. Well, we call him Stinky because he's sweaty all the time.
Well, that's we don't have to go into that part of it. You and I know that, but
yeah.
He's
a real stinker.
He's affectionately known around the office as Stinky.
Stinky.
Anyway, we also have a lot of other cups too that you may like in our storefront. And all you have to do is go to Right Side Shop, all one word, rightsideshop.com. And it'll pop right up, and you'll see the stuff we have there. The store by itself has only been up for, about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Bill? It's
2 or 3
relatively
weeks,
new, yeah. And
hey, we got the coffee. You got to get some coffee because it's, it's good. But and you got to get a cup to get it. Drink your coffee
true.
into.
Because drinking coffee out of your hand, it can be difficult and painful, especially if it's hot coffee.
And putting your hand in there and scooping it up. It's tough.
And you have to drink it fast, because otherwise you'll get, and you don't want to get hot coffee on your lap, because it'll make you a soprano. But anyway, that's another story
that's
from
true
the top.
too.
Yes.
And when you have a hand cup full of coffee, and then you sneeze and hiccup at the same time, and
you sneeze and you hiccup at the same time. You might want to see a doctor about that. Anyway,
hot coffee up your nose is no fun, friends.
Speaking of sneezing and hiccuping,
wheezing,
Juan and the Border Crossers are here to one more time.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Juan and the Border Crossers. They're amazing people. Where are they? Are they doing any concert tours, or will they be doing any personal appearances that you know of? I think they're going to make a personal appearance at one of the border guard stations.
They could be, or
as they're being returned. Yes.
They've actually talked about going door to door with a cup and
really
knock on the door, sing. And,
that's an interesting way to have a tour. Actually, bring the tour to individual porches. That's a nice way of, as opposed to bringing the people to the concert where you're crowded and everybody's uncomfortable. Bring the band to the front porch of all the different fans.
It's the door-to-door cup tour, just drop in whatever change you got. It doesn't sound like much, but, in a whole block, it can add up.
And in the case of Juan and the Border Crossers, they only have one song to sing, our jingle. So
and how long is that? 10, 12 seconds?
Yeah, so they're
there and they're gone.
They're like an Amazon delivery guy.
Especially when it gets cold and there's snow and they're out there just
that's true
in the air and
they may actually sing it quickly in the cold.
You never know.
I think we should wrap this up before we lose control altogether.
I think we already lost it here. About 3 minutes ago, this train, it's wrecked, and the track is back there, and it's kind of scattered all over the place, too.
Well, listen, we have been, every day is interesting. Every day something new and fascinating happens with our government. To watch the people on the left comment about what Trump is doing is amazing, because people on the right are applauding him and happy and delighted. It's refreshing. Finally, some adults in the room, and the people on the left, you would think somebody died. It's amazing. Two different worlds. I thought it was interesting. Megyn Kelly was talking about Joy Reid's hair. She shaved her hair as a protest, and a lot of liberal women are cutting their hair off and saying they're not going to sleep with their husbands.
I've seen that, and then you got the lady that goes, "You guys better wear a blue dot, and if we believe you're a blue dot guy, we won't shoot you." They're promising to shoot us. I'm going, yeah, but Joy Reid in that haircut, I'm not even going to say, she really should look at herself in the mirror, and I'm saying this actually out of kindness, because she really looks it's just bad.
She looks unhappy, and she makes a lot of people who look at her feel unhappy. She may need some psychological help, because she seems to be having a difficult time. A lot of people, Jimmy Kimmel went out shortly after the election results, and he just about cried on stage.
Well, a lot of them are doing that. They're having a little cry fit. They're like a little kid, a little child that didn't get didn't get the toy, and they're having temper tantrums. And that's what the left is doing. I've seen good friends of mine that I thought, were really solid people, and they're having a tantrum, and I'm like going, now that I look back, grow up. I didn't realize you were that childish.
Understand something. We know how you felt, because we had what we think was an honest election stolen from us in 2020, and we had to live through your nonsense. I'll never, ever, in my most delusional state, as I'm getting ready to shuffle off this mortal coil, I will never think that Joe Biden was ever a solid, clear-thinking president. He always, to me, looked like from day one, he looked diminished and confused, and he only got worse as the months and years progressed. And it gives you an idea, Bill, of how amazing our country is, that we could actually function for 4 years without a real commander-in-chief.
Yeah, we were operating with a president with no head, no brain. There was something that I was going to throw into that, but speaking of Biden, wasn't it yesterday or is it today that he's supposed to meet with Trump?
Yeah, he's meeting with Trump today. He is having lunch with President Trump, and like I said earlier in the show, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting. You wonder what they're going to discuss. You remember early on in was it the 2019 when he was running for election, when Biden said he'd like to take Trump out behind the barn and essentially, beat him up. And I'm thinking, that would have been the biggest mistake of your life, Joe. There was one other story I wanted to mention, Bill, before we wrap this thing up. It's amazing how we do this. We always think we're going to wrap this thing up.
Shooting from the hip.
Yeah. I was reading an article this morning, and they asked a good question. Do you remember during the assassination attempt in July in Butler, there was a white van?
And what happened to it?
Yeah. They found a white van that had explosives inside the van, and they sent dogs up, and they sniffed it. There were explosives, and they had the explosive people come in and remove the explosives, and then they put the van up on the back of a truck and took it away, and nobody's ever said a word about it. Nobody's talked about it. Nobody's mentioned whose van it was, who was driving that van. You can't drive 3 cars. I think he had his car there. I'm talking about the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks. He had a car, and he also had this van. How do you get both of them up there? You can't bring both up. There had to be somebody else involved.
And there's probably prints and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it was a CIA operative that had gloves on. I mean, there's a lot to this story. This will be one of these stories that we talk about years from now. You know, the unsolved mysteries.
Well, with Trump in office, are we going to get some answers sooner rather than later? Who knows?
Well, I don't know, because the deep state's pretty deep, which is what he's trying to undo. You got to unclog the sink before you can do anything else.
Hey, Bill, are we done? Are we done?
Yeah,
I like
think
that.
so.
A little rim shot there. Yeah, I like that. A little rim shot.
Yeah, he's playing with his toys, folks. It's probably time. For me.
One more time.
Hasta la vista, baby. He's going to play that drum again. We're out of here.
Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. We got dead people voting, drop boxes and dominion. And facts are facts, it's not just my opinion. The Democrats know how to steal. Come on, man, here's the deal. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. While Biden's hiding in the basement, babbling away on Zoom.
My mental fitness, what I'm doing now.
Patriots fill stadiums, not circles in an empty room. Twitter and the FBI, one day won't deny. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. The thing about truth, time is always gonna tell.
Votes in Fulton County were counted more than once.
I bet he took New York and carried California as well. He's done it twice before, and he's gonna win again for the third time in 2024. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. Fox News won't even show it. It's true. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. If there's a line, they're gonna tow it. It's true. Trump won and you know it. I know it, you know it, we know it, they know it. Everybody knows Trump won. I know it, you know it, we know it, they know it. Everybody knows Trump won. I know it, you know it, we know it, they know it. Everybody knows Trump won.
This is CRN America.